So, we got 5 different flyers over there on the table now. New stuff coming up. You know about the kid workshop already, of course. End of this month is Dulce's retreat, and starting early next month are all the new workshops, and then the next month is Tony Pitchell's retreat, and Diane's Artist Way. When's that starting?
Starts at the end of January.
January also. Okay. So, lots of stuff going on over the next couple of months, so we're having fun.
That's Tony Pitchell.
Tony Pitchell is an infinite waste teacher.
Oh.
Lorraine Sinclair was one of Joel's students who did all the editing of all the Infinite Way books. You know, her name is the editor of all the books. And Tony Pitchell is one of her students who's been an Infinite Way teacher for, I don't know, 20 years probably. And he's kind enough to come and teach a class, 3 or 4 day closed class in El Segundo at the Hotel in El Segundo once a year. So I figure as long as he's willing to do a class in my backyard. And he's very high.
It's amazing. I listened to classes from Tampa from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, like verbatim.
He's very clear and very high, and it's a different type of thing from what we do here. This is a very unusual. The traditional Infinite Way style is teach like Joel did, which is he talks an hour. And he would allow written questions on his desk before the class. So if it was a closed class and you heard something that you wanted to ask a question about, you'd write it out and put it on the desk the next class. So and we have the sense, I have the sense that a lot more gets done this way with interaction and cross-talk and workshop stuff, and I've seen that certainly was true with Barbara Moll's group, and certainly was true with Meg Johnson's group. All the Infinite Way work in the world, I think these 3 groups are the only ones that are A, doing workshop style work, and B, getting anywhere. But anyway, the guy is very high, and if you I go just to go sit there and be high. You know, I'm definitely an alcoholic and a drug addict. I just go there to get high, you know. So, and I don't know, last year there might have been 10 of us there.
Yeah.
A good crowd. They don't know where we're coming from, but the whole room gets high, and it's fun. So I found, I don't know how this should look. It'd be a lot easier than this doesn't require my thinking. Although they're sort of related because as soon as for me it always focuses on the class work, you know, is my monkey mind thinks it's supposed to figure out something to teach and figure stuff out, you know. So it was really easy for me because I'm very clear that I don't know how this class should look. But then the monkey mind wants to figure it out. So, you know, if you don't know how it looks, the immediate monkey mind response is to, well, I need to think about this. And I don't know how it's supposed to look. Maybe I should think about it. So I'm having a great deal of fun not thinking about this or anything. But I found this one puts you back to the first one. So, what's going on with you people? You had fun.
I did. The day after the class, we were talking to the contractor who's going to like do our house, and you know, it can not be real invasive. And he said you have to be out tomorrow. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said everything has to be gone tomorrow. And we had to move out. Everything we owned is in 2 garages. I had like 6 pairs of clothes. This is bizarre. And then the whole house came down. I mean, just the walls of it. The kitchen's gone, and to watch it change form so quickly blew my mind. Eckhart Tolle, I know some listen to him. He talks about it all the time, and I just watched it. It was just, and everything familiar. I mean, I'm a house. I want my little right there, the same bowl I've eaten out of for 12 years, and nothing is there. And I just am watching it and not getting upset. This was so helpful. It was hysterical, is what it was. And it's the first time in my life I haven't felt afraid when not around familiar things. And I cannot believe how much of a difference it's made. And I don't know where anything is. People keep saying, well, when are they going to be done? I don't know. It's just, we're safe and warm, and wow, you know. So this was extremely helpful, and I had a lot of good laughs this week.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that it's fun to not know how they should look. It's really very freeing, I think. If you can really accept that I don't know how they should look. This is all preparation for the work that I'm going to be doing next year. So these are the fun ones.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I had fun with it. I feel like I've needed this week as kind of my Red Cross kit and stuff like that, because I have something that I guess if I had to label it, I would label something kind of major going on in my life. And my normal mode would be to figure it out and work on it and come from all sides. And it's interesting, I'm watching my mind do that. Like, my mind will wake up in the morning with lots of plans. And so I've been using this as kind of and it's not a fun thing. It's not like remodeling. It doesn't feel like it's going to be fun, or it's going to end up good, or it's going to, I have no clue. So I've just been using this, I don't know how this should look. And it's really been actually calming me down. Because what I see is it's very easy for me to get in a frenzy when I think I have to do something about something. And that's kind of how I've operated my whole life. I mean, something comes up and I need to figure it out and do something about it really soon, and the right thing, and I don't want to do that. Actually, I know I can't do that. And so this came, and I was wondering, I was saying, okay, did this incident happen in my life because I got this flashcard? I was like, going chicken or egg, or do I have this flashcard because this thing happened in my life? I mean, that's how they exactly coincided almost on the exact same moment. So it's just been very interesting looking at it that way. And of course it doesn't matter what came first, but it's been kind of a way to center myself this week. It's been good. Cool. Yeah.
We were talking before the meeting, it would stop me. I would be somewhere and thinking, oh, this is not, what's this? And then the thought, I don't know how this should look. It would just stop you. Go, oh, okay. Yeah, just, oh, okay. And it wasn't always fun. It was not always fun. Sometimes it was fun, but it was interesting how fast it would come. Well, ooh, you get in a situation, oh, well, I don't know how this should look. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's cool. That was fun. Some of it was fun.
You know it was fun. Yeah. It's useful, I hope.
I said to Lee on Saturday, I said, well, that's a good time to shut my mouth. And you probably may or may not remember me saying that, but I was wearing a Von Dutch shirt, and Michelle walks up and goes, I thought your shirt said you bitch. And I was going to say, it does. But I shut my mouth. I thought it would be funny here, though, just because of, we see that. And I had a very interesting experience because being about consciousness, it wasn't really a thought or anything, but it was really interesting is there's a girl that does data entry, and then I do whatever I do. And I thought we were having a conversation. And I was trying to just have a conversation with this girl, and then this other girl goes like this, like, walk away. And so I walk away and I come in, I'm talking to her, and she goes, she said, you know what, Sean, I would have never let that girl talk to me the way she was talking to you. I go, oh, well, I was oblivious to what was going on. And she goes, yeah, she was totally disrespecting me. And I was like, oh, really? I thought and then and these are people that have worked there like 10, 20 years. And the guy that's been working there about 20 years comes in and he goes, you know what, you're a bigger man than I am. And I'm clueless to what they're talking about. And I'm like, well, and I thought he was like on a different topic. He goes, you know what, if that girl would talk to me like that, I would have shut her down. And I was like, oh, wow. And apparently they know how she should have been behaving. But I didn't. It was like really cool to like be acknowledged by two people, within a few minutes. So and then it kind of hit me.
And one for being a wimp and the other one for being a man.
So it's really interesting that I experienced two different ways to two different people in a situation that I was oblivious to.
You didn't know how it was supposed to look, yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
It's all a concept. The interesting thing is that how it looks isn't how it looks. It's just how we see it. Great.
It's been an interesting week. My daughter is a freshman in high school. Freshman year is an interesting year, and I'm just really enjoying watching it unfold. She's starting to like change groups of friends, and my wife is just completely freaking out about it, and it made it so easy to not get involved in any of that drama. And my wife would bring up, oh, Caitlin's doing this or that, or these other things, and I would just say to myself, this is unfolding. I have no idea how this should be. And in that one area, it was so clear and clean for me that it just, my wife had this whole week and a half of just chaos and drama and all this, and I had no part of it. It was beautiful. And then I had something on a personal note. I went to Rockport the other morning to have breakfast, and I saw 3 people I know from the program, from AA, and they waved me over, and I went and sat and had breakfast. All of which the guys I generally like at the table, and I got completely sucked up into a political conversation, and the views being expressed by one half of the table are not the views that I have expressed in the past. And I even said out loud that I didn't want to have any part of the conversation. I said, I don't talk about politics or religion or spiritual beliefs in groups, other than a friendly group. But I got sucked up in it, really, really bad, because the guy said something to the effect of, I asked him, for conversation, I said, oh, how's your job? He said, oh, it's great as long as Hillary Clinton doesn't get elected president. And when he said it, I was curious to what he could possibly mean by that. He said something, oh, she's going to socialize medicine, she's totally evil. And it just got the ball. It was just, and about halfway through the conversation, I was so angry. I was ready to reach over the table and wrap my fingers around this guy's throat. And after breakfast, I walked out, and I just thought to myself, guys, you had that full thought of, don't get involved. You don't know how this should be. This is, you're not something you should be involved in. And then I just got sucked up in it. It was kind of painful because I felt like crap afterwards. But other than that one incident, it's been kind of a cool week.
I have this sudden, incredible awareness about how much pain I cause myself by thinking that I know how other people should be. And that just kept coming up over and over again. This week, I had this big story I was telling about my stepmom and her husband and how they let my teenage sister drink, and this other story about my husband who's dating this girl I don't like, and I was sometimes telling people right to their face how I think they should be, and other times telling other people how I think other people should be. And even last night, my mom was to retreat for the weekend, and he came home, and I had this idea about how he was supposed to be when he got home from the retreat, and he wasn't. And I let him know. And he's like, wow, you're being really, whatever, when you say fast, or you seem really anxious or something. I'm like, and so basically it's just like, I have a million opportunities every day to practice this. Oh, tonight I left Disneyland and I forgot where my car was. So for 25 minutes I pushed my 2-year-old around the stroller while the 5-year-old ran behind me. Going around the parking lot trying to figure out how I could possibly lose my car in the parking lot. And it actually occurred to me as I was doing that, apparently this is what's supposed to be happening, which is another way of saying this, I guess. I don't know how it's supposed to be, and I don't know what's supposed to be, and I didn't think it was supposed to be like this, and, but, I got to class on time, and I don't know why, but I tell you what, when I got in that car, I poured the love on my 5-year-old. I'm like, man, I just ran you all over this parking lot for 25 minutes after 8 hours of Disneyland, and you did not complain or bitch once the whole time, and you helped me look for the car, you know what I mean? And so I had an opportunity just to pour a bunch of love on him, and maybe that was what the whole thing, was about. Maybe he got to be the helper to help me. It's like, I don't know. I just don't know. And this is a huge thing for me. What it does is it kills the judgment. I have these judgments about people and circumstances and things, and I unconsciously, justify them, obviously, and believe them, this is really painful to say this, but it's like, the identification with Joanne, this spiritual student who is doing all this good stuff in her life, that's a big problem for me. That it's huge because I justify a lot of judgments of others around that thought, and it's very painful. So this seems like a key to unlock the door and just drop that whole thing. And I've also been listening to a lot of Robert and a lot of Osho, and just self-inquiry on top of it. And so it's been a lot of things, a lot of stories I've been telling myself for the last few months that all got blown out this week.
Good.
It was so good. Yeah, I don't have to think about them anymore. It's so great, And when the thought comes up about them, I know it's bullshit right away. So I should just follow it. It's like, and then I remember the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences, which is perfect right along with this. Yeah, because they shouldn't be letting my 15-year-old sister drink and get drunk on Thanksgiving, and they shouldn't, you know what I mean? And all these ideas about it, but I don't really know, And I was also thinking about the Byron Katie, what's the result of holding on to this false belief? Now that I've identified this fault, pain, suffering, things that I know.
Not knowing how things should be doesn't eliminate judgment, it eliminates pain. I'm not quite sure whether it's 98 or 99% of all human pain is the result of knowing how things should be. Osho used to say that. Oh, my goodness. He said about God's will. He says, my will is what I want to happen. We could say in this case, my will is how I think things should be. God's will is how they are, and the difference is pain. And that's the bottom line. And all of my discomfort and pain and all the confusion comes out of knowing how things should be. Yeah.
I really see that definitely. It really spent the past year solidifying my faith and through working step 3. You know, just on a minute, day-by-day basis. It's really, despite, you know, working other steps as well, that's the one that I come back to every single day. And this one's just related right to step 3. And coincidentally, for me, I have 3 sponsees that are all on step 3, and one called me out this week. I mean, one was on step 4 and it wasn't solid and had to go back and work on step 3, which is what that means. One called me out this week and dropped out of the program and said she was done and she wasn't willing to work step 3. It was too painful and it was too hard. And I just said, you know, I don't know how this is supposed to be. You know, I can tell you what step 3 is meant for me and how I have had a pretty painful year where I'm joyful and I am loving life and I'm free. And it's because of step 3. And this one fitted right with my, you know, with how things are going for me right now, this particular flashcard. And she, you know what I mean, and I just said, and that's me, and you get to do exactly what you need to do and what you want to do, and if you're ever, you know, get around and you need to talk, and I want to talk to you because being your sponsor, I love talking to you, and whether you're getting anything out of it or working the program or not, I want to talk, you know, and I don't, you know, I just don't get to choose how this one goes. It's sad. I would love to choose. It's a great gal. I would love to choose, but I can't.
Right.
So, but that pain that you talked about, you know, the pain in life, it comes exactly. I mean, exactly.
Knowing how it should look.
I don't know.
And of course, trying to make it look that way. Song Sue says, the universe is perfectly ordered, and to attempt to order it creates disorder. Of course.
I think that, you know, I judge other people a lot, and but I think that the judgment, it's interesting talking about how other people should be, how they should act, how the world should be. You know, God made everything perfect, and then man came along with his own devices, and I read that somewhere. I thought that was really cool, but I have this view on how I should be. I judge myself. How I have this painted out picture of what I should be like, and it's unattainable. I can't attain that image of myself that I think I should be. So that's painful because I can never reach that ideal or that thing that my ego has painted up. And I always fall short, and I always end up in pain because I think this should be this way, and it isn't. But what's happened is before, a couple of years ago, I was, like asleep. I didn't even know that I was doing that. And this pain was coming from somewhere that I had no idea that it was coming from. But now I can see that. That's a big part of why I have relapsed so many times. Partly because I was asleep, but also because I always tried to attain this image of myself that was unattainable, and then I would fall short, and then I would think less of myself, and then I was, this whole vicious cycle. But it all started from, thinking that this should be this way, and it had nothing to do with the truth.
I had a lot of resistance, and a lot of awareness that, it was all gold, but, the ego wanted to think about it even more, and try even harder, to figure it out and make things happen. So, I kind of just went with it, tortured myself and thought about everything more than I probably normally did, which is a lot anyway. And then I get like a really, almost like an exhaustion, plunging, and everything seems to stop that.
Cool.
Knowing how it should be.
I just, when Patrick was talking, I was just thinking of something else that happened this week, and it's still not very clear to me, so maybe someone else will be a little clear on this one, but I've kind of used this with outside circumstances, things that I see happening out there. And I remember this morning, I always talk about this illness kind of rash thing that I have, because it's this thing that's manifested my whole life. And for the first time this morning, I looked at my arm and I was broken out in a rash, and I thought, I don't know how this should be. And I got that I've been trying to do a lot of work to make that difference. I got that I was trying to do a lot of work to heal myself in what I think that healing should look like. And that seems like it's going to lead to a whole interesting place. I just hadn't experienced anything like that until you were talking about yourself. And I thought, and I had it, and I think I just brushed it away pretty quickly, because it seems like it's a...
You know how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's just an interesting one.
You have to, this is really more on healing, but if you want to get rid of dis-ease, you have to drop health.
That was what that was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's strange.
Well, that's all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. I had the same thing come up this week.
What's your persistence kind of theory?
But if you're seeing health, you're creating unhealth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a duality, and to have one forces the other one to exist.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe there's such a thing as health, then you are believing that there's such a thing as disease. Okay? You can't have the one. I mean, the problem with humanhood, the problem with all of us, all our lives, is we want the good side of all the duality. Okay? And guess what? It's exactly 50-50. Duality is exactly 50-50. If there was ever more health than disease, health would win out and be all that, but they're not. The fact that if there's ever more, if disease was stronger, had more power than health, then we'd all die.
Yeah.
But the fact is that all the dualities are just exactly matched, and to see something as beautiful, you've just created ugliness. And so focusing on health sustains disease.
Yeah.
I called Lee and I said, I don't understand. I know I've been healed, and I don't understand why my gut isn't working. I don't get it. And that's exactly it. And I never thought about the flashcard on that respect.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that, just with respect to you, I mean, Joel talks about, you may have an instantaneous. In fact, all healings are instantaneous. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. But how long it will take you to become aware of the fact that you're healed, how long it will take your concepts to change to reflect the healing, maybe a different thing. And you never know how deep the karmic stuff is grounded to this stuff, and just how deep it is. Robert always talked about, when even after full enlightenment, he said, it's like a fan, and if you pull the foot out of the wall, and let that be full enlightenment, still it has to spin down, So know your truth and let it and watch it spin down, but don't focus on it.
Yesterday I was at home, and my 2.5-year-old son was coloring, and he brought a crayon over to me. And he held the crayon up, and he said, Daddy, it's black. And it was gray. And I told him it was gray, but in the moment that I told him that, I said, Isn't that great? The only reason I say it's great is because somebody told me it's great. And it was a concept. And it was a great moment for the fact that I love that my son comes to me for knowledge. And it was also disheartening because it's like, that's a fun concept. I'm filling my son for these fucking bullshit concepts.
Well, there's a difference perhaps between concepts and functional labels.
But in that moment that I looked at it, I was like, well, what the fuck?
If we're going to communicate, we have to agree on a common definition of certain words, so I won't let you get away with that. The difference between black and gray is not a concept, it's a labeling. For the sake of communication.
But it's all about, but to me it was about, it's a perception. It's like, well, somebody called that gray, so that was their perception of it. No, and even just...
No, it's just arbitrary labeling. Not even perception, they just relabel things. And of course the truth is you have no idea what he sees when he calls it gray or black. I mean, what I see as orange, you may be seeing as purple. There's no way for us to, we've agreed that when I see this, I call it orange, and when you see this, you call it orange, but your experience may be purple and mine may be green.
Well, I was a hairdresser for a long time, and as you age, something happens to the pigment in your eyes. And women, you see these women that have purple hair. Well, when they look at it, they're seeing white hair. And you see the women that have yellow hair, and it's the same thing. They say that the degeneration in their eyes creates them to see either too much violet or too much yellow. Whenever they do that in the shampoo they use. So you see a little purple hair lady and she thinks her hair is as white as snow.
Perhaps if I'm towards colorblind.
Not colorblind, but you get it.
And that's also why old women wear so much makeup. Because that's how much it takes to see it, for them to see it. They're not overly made up. They're not being embarrassed. Put on a little lipstick, they can stick it where they can see it, Yes.
It was no accident that we've been doing a relationship class, and the last week's class was all about concepts, which was, the beliefs I have on how it should look. So it was just totally in sync to have this flashcard and to listen to Barbara talk about our beliefs of how it should look. And I'm related to Joanne because for me, I realized that whenever I felt I knew how it should look, I usually had a judgment. So working this flashcard was really about dropping judgment. I usually had something was right. If I believe it should look this way, and it a certain way, and it doesn't, I'm thinking that when it doesn't look that way, it's wrong, and when it looks that way, it's right. So it was a real strong awareness exercise in how much the duality seeps in when I label events. And I got to be stilled and quieted by it a lot too. It was kind of funny to have an idea how it should look. Like even today, I went to pick Aiden up, and Greg usually picks him up. And I've had the experience that whenever he sees me, he's overjoyed to see me. And Greg usually picks him up, but for some reason I was picking him up. I remember thinking, oh, this is great. He's just going to run towards me and be overjoyed. And when I get there, he looks at me, he starts crying. He points out to where all the kids are playing, and he was just distraught about leaving. And I began to think, well, I don't know how this should look. And it was great, because otherwise I knew I would have called a child, like, oh. But I started to laugh at how I had this idea about it, how it should look.
And our cells help you. Sure so.
And it was also funny at work when I ever had to go to the site unit. This flashcard is really helpful in here. It's really helpful because there's certain days that people are crazier when I go in there, and it was very fun to just recite that in my head as I saw people as I went around and realized how I had labeled, I just had labeled behaviors.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah, they shouldn't have to be crazy. They shouldn't have to be cyborgs. They shouldn't have to be this and that.
And also, just the general population that I work with, just the appearance
with most of the people that we see, is that there's like this sick, ill, defective, broken body, something wrong with this body physically that we have to fix. So it was great to just be, speak with it in here, and just kind of smile and say, I'm really not sure what this should be about at all. And also, the other thing is, whenever I felt myself thinking it was really helping remove any sense of responsibility I felt that I had to make it a different way.
Yeah.
It was very freeing that way.
Yeah, attempt to create order creates disorder.
Very similar to that. I had this week where at the beginning, actually, even coming to class last week, and that I was looking at some things in my life that I didn't like. They were causing me unhappiness. And so the day after class, I took the opportunity to correct those things and decided not to do some certain things anymore in my life. And that was really hard for me to do because it's changing how I thought things should look or what I should do. And so I had to go against that behavior, knowing that in the end it would be true. And so I made the decision, did what I needed to do, told the person I could no longer do something, and was okay with the belief, or knowing that I don't know how anything should be. Do not fix this person. I couldn't fix this person or make it work because it just wasn't working. And the next day I woke up and went right into that discomfort about, this person is not going to be happy with me. But the good thing is I no longer like living in the discomfort. So I called somebody, and while they don't do this work, their very first words to me were, Lori, there's no right, there's no wrong. You don't know how anything should be. And that brought me right back into this work. And so again, I had a good day. And it was even today, I was driving down the road, and I thought, I should call that person. And it was just to call them so that I would be okay, and right away I went to, I don't know how anything should be, and again I was brought to a level of comfort. And so where I'm at is at times experiencing discomfort, knowing that it's that change in my behavior that needs to occur in order to get to the good, or what I perceive to be good.
Is that how things should be?
I know, but you just said that's how I want them to, okay? It's how things make it so nice here. And then,
yeah, sounds like you shouldn't be uncomfortable. Oops. Yeah.
We studied giving the lit at my house, and at the end of the book, it's, Abraham Lincoln said this, and George Washington said, it's just all these phrases for like, and I have this perception that when we're in class, that everyone should have a little bit of quiet within them to where they can read. And there's one guy, he reads like this, and every sentence is just, and he read for half an hour, like all of us. And I didn't get it until Anne was talking right, and then I just had to really go, how long does this go on for? Because, it's usually an hour that we read, for half hour, 15-minute meditation, half hour. And he read it for half an hour, and it's kind of interesting, because I roll my eyes a lot when people share, in here, in this forum, and in meetings where it's like, oh shit, here they go. And I just really wasn't even aware of that until I heard you share, and then with the mental hospital thing. Doing this work all these years that we've been doing this, it's weird how I see deformed people and the surprise they have in their eyes when I smile at them authentically, you know, that's really joyful to not have the perception that they're different. And this is just really like awakening a lot of flavors of who I am that I've never realized. Kind of cool.
I was at the club this morning. There was two guys sitting at the coffee bar, and they had this book. And then I walked up, they closed the book. And I said, well, what are you guys doing? And they wouldn't talk to me. Huh? I said, yeah, I know these are my friends. And then it was our book. It was your book. It was pointing at the moon. And I said, just like this, did Lee give you that book? And Don said, well, yeah, he did. I said, well, you don't come to our classes on Monday night. He said, do you go to those classes on Monday night? Yeah, that's our book. I said, that's our book. Oh, my God. It's just a big time leaving the coffee bar and a lot of clubs.
Cheers.
I do not think so. I'm not sure how that should be, but that doesn't sound like it. That's not it.
Well, I got to say, this whole thing has really been shaking things up a lot, which is good. You know, and I got to say, it's not comfortable, and it's not always fun, but I'm finding a lot of freedom. So it's kind of strange because, you know, it isn't my concept of fun, but it is all good. And it really started, the big one when we gave up hope.
Yeah.
That was really huge for me. That was just a really huge one. Because that was give up fantasy, give up how it should look, just give up on what you think things, you know, the little husband, wife, 2.5 kids, you know, this kind of how it all should be. And all hell broke loose. And it was good because it has just shaken things up like crazy. And, oh my God, I'm getting so much freedom from, oh, geez, I can't even tell you how deep it's going. But, no, honestly, we've had kids for 9 years, and I swear, and it's just how it feels to me, so, you know, don't go kill my husband, but like that I've been the cause of, if there's anything wrong with any kid, it's mommy's fault. And honest to God. And it has just shaken it all up because it wasn't until I gave up hope that the unit should look the way it should look. And I finally said, I'm done. I'm no longer willing to take this rap. And when I was no longer willing to take this rap, it all changed. And I got to tell you, last night, my husband and I were sitting with my children. We each did it separately, reviewing their report card. And my daughter, oh my God, the poor little baby was just radiating so heavy. And we got the freedom. It wasn't Jim. It wasn't me. Oh, I can't tell you the freedom of that. It was her little script. And she was not okay. She was not good enough. And she got B's, which really, Jim and I are like, wow! Fantastic! B's are good! B's are good! And she just was all over herself. And she was twisting and attituding and forcing us to read her script. And we weren't doing it, and the more we didn't do it, the more she was melting down. And it's just so interesting that it coincided today with her first time going to family counseling. And, oh, it was absolutely beautiful today, because we got to learn that as parents, and it really hit me today, self-esteem has nothing to do with me. It's her self-esteem. And what I get to do, possibly or not, is guide her to self. You know, what we're all learning about, what is our true self. It isn't our job, and it isn't our marriage, and it isn't anything but our God self. And I, as a mom, get to do my best at showing that to her. And it isn't about making mommy happy, daddy happy, getting A's, you know, not lying, not, you know, it's about unconditional love. And I'm so excited about that, because I did not grow up with that stuff. I did not grow up with that stuff. And it was criticism and critical parent, and you know, I really don't know how that looks, but I'm getting to experience it. And it was so exciting in the counselor today to see my daughter go in there to start telling the counselor how bad she was. And then my husband and I got to tell her that we love her no matter what, that honestly, even if she murdered someone, we'd say that was bad behavior, but we still love her. And, you know, I get that. And that's amazing to me that I can even feel that. And I'm really excited about that. And that's what I feel like is real freedom happening for me. And it's because, you know, it clicked just a little bit deeper. Give up the hope, give up the fantasy, give up how it should look. And then, you know, as Joel says, that God expresses through me, and it's not me trying to be a better person. It's just me enjoying it. And God, I gotta say thanks, really, to everybody, because it's a tough road sometimes. Really. Self-esteem with a capital S.
That was wonderful. Hope. I read a book by Pema Chodron. She's a Buddhist monk, and this was maybe 5 years ago, and it put this ball and rolling to where I'm at now, where I could open up. And it was just about, you know, hope and how detrimental that really can be. And the word hope is a hopeful word. And it's like in Shawshank Redemption, he says in the end, you know, hope something is good and probably the best of things. No, it's not. It sucks, you know. And so when I really got that, you know, that was what put the ball in motion for me when I read that book, you know, and I just, because what it did is it took the viewfinder and just put it way over here, and I got another peek at it, and it just explains all these, I don't know, there's 3 conscious flash parts that I've heard, you know, now, but listening to you guys, and it's the same thing almost. Yeah, that was great.
Hope is really the very poor sister. Hope leads to belief, which is not much better.
Yeah.
Belief leads to faith, which is better, because with faith we can actually get into action. But none of them are worth a damn compared to knowledge, which is the fourth step in that process. You know, it goes from hope to belief to faith to knowledge. And once you have experience, then you have something useful. All the rest is fantasy. May or may not be right.
Every time I had to use the flashcard, what are the words again? I don't know how this should be. It was, and most of the time it immediately came like this knowing afterwards of, I do know how things should be, and it's what I'm seeing right now. And it's like where I am, it's whatever's going on. It's not even like, there's more than that, it's just like, it's just being in the moment, like the board said, and I described it. And so after the first couple of times I had to use that, what now things should be, and it led to that, it was like, I didn't have to use that anymore. It was just like, it's just been, I know how things should be, it's just that how they are. It's just pretty much how things have been operating, so
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
I saw that in a Sunday school room down at the church down in the Riviera Village where the Tuesday night step study used to be. There was a sign that says, if you want to know how things are supposed to be, look around you. and that's almost right. I mean, yeah, we can do it. But the fact is, we really do know how things ought to be, how things should be, the way they are. But even that needs to be paid careful attention to, because what we're seeing is not the way they are. We're seeing our concepts of what is, okay? But our concept of what is the way it should be, because that's what we should be seeing, because that's our next lesson. That's what we've got to learn. That's the next concept to be broken, you know. So your statement is true at every level. I'm just pointing out that there's lots of levels to that.
And I actually did that during the root canal. But I did like a lot of self-inquiry with this drilling sound in my head.
I did the same thing, driving in the car with my baby screaming for like 40 minutes, which happened about a year ago when this happened. I like reached my arm back and just started hitting. And literally I lost my mind, you know, for like 45 minutes.
I'm the rock mobile sucker. Don't talk about that big.
It could burn. It could be one thing, but it makes it worse. And I think back on that now, and it totally hurt my hand too, by the way, in your car seat. But I think back on that now a lot, because he screamed for 40 minutes a couple of days ago. And I actually said, I don't know how this should be. Right. I remembered it in the moment. Yep. And then I also said, guess what? I was listening to Tony, and I said, there is no baby.
That kid was knocking ours way off.
Yeah. It worked, though.
I had a little, around 4 o'clock, my sister wanted to dance, you know, she wanted to do a little script thing with me. And so she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing for something. And as it came up, I don't know how this should be. And I was able to detach and just detach and not, and just let it be, detach and not have to freak out, you know.
If you don't know how it should be, and you can't think about it, then all you can do is just let it be, you know? You don't have to adjust it.
It does move you to the observant step, where you go, oh, this is, oh, okay. It just slightly sets you in a spot where you actually look at it. Oh, you see these two people.
That's the whole game. That's the whole game. That's what we're talking about, being in the audience. Being in the audience, watching the play, you know, being the beholder. And the thing is what we're really trying to do is get free of our reactions to this stuff. You know? If you don't know how it's supposed to be, you can't have especially negative reactions, but even positive reactions. You know, you can't even be joyful about stuff because you know it's supposed to be that way. You know how it's supposed to be. But yeah, that's great. That's the game we're playing. We're going to do one more of these, and then I got a real nice one for you. Next week is our last week. Okay, we'll serve the holiday. And then I got a really nice one for you to use for 4 weeks. 4 weeks you get to use the same one, because after next week we don't come back until the 9th. So let's take a few minutes to talk about this one. It's one you've all heard me say before. The truth is one that I was given back in, I actually had a full realization of this back in 1978 when I was doing my 4th step. And the statement is everyone is always doing the best they can. Okay? But let's see the truth of that. We can talk just for a few minutes right now and see why that's true. So that I want you, when you're looking at every situation for the next week and seeing people doing totally unacceptable stuff, Yeah, and doing the best they can doesn't make it, it has nothing to do with whether or not it's acceptable. You know, the fact that they're doing the best they can doesn't necessarily make it acceptable to you. But they're doing the best they can, and it certainly determines what your behavior has to be towards it, okay? And it determines what your reaction has to be towards it. But the reason we know that's true is if we go back to the book, what we talked about many, many moons ago, so to speak. Remember the whole pattern that was Barbara's revolution, that when what is expresses itself and manifests itself in mind, it always begins in a state of asleepness or ignorance. And we talked about how human consciousness started out as really, consciousness started out as really amoebas, but eventually it developed the monkeys, and then eventually it developed the people, and then from the humans, and it was a purely animal consciousness, and gradually, slowly, the consciousness was developed, from animal to higher animal, eventually, and some people became mental, and keeps moving on. So the pattern that we observe in the Leelaa, all this is in the Leelaa, is one that's starting in total ignorance and growing, okay? And so, and everybody is trying to do what they think is going to serve them best, naturally, because we're reasonably smart. So the point is that every behavior is limited by our current level of ignorance. We're on a path of growing from totally ignorant to totally enlightened, okay? And where we are on that path determines how ignorant we are and how enlightened we are. And if we're ignorant, our behaviors are ignorant. And if we're enlightened, our behaviors are enlightened, okay? So the reason we can say everybody's doing the best they can is, or the corollary is, if they could do better, they would. If they knew better, they would do better. And you can look at your own history and your own self today, and your own fuck-ups that you made yesterday.
Yeah.
And the truth is that if I knew today had I known yesterday what I know today, I would have played that one differently. Okay, but I got educated as a result of that, and now I know better, but yesterday I did the best I could. And of course what I got was the lesson I needed to get. So it's in that sense that we know that everybody is always doing the best they could, the best they can. And don't forget yourself, always doing the best I can, always have been. So that's where that truth comes from, that we're never looking at evil, and we're never looking at bad people, and we're never looking at cruelty, and we're never looking at stuff like that. We're looking at behaviors that are apparently evil and apparently cruel and stuff like that, but what we're looking at is ignorance. We're looking at people whose level of awareness leads them to think that that's the appropriate behavior in this situation for them to accomplish whatever their purpose is. And the other thing to realize is that it's all just what is expressing itself, okay? And it's what is unfolding as it wants to, and it is what is as every one of these people, the one you're looking at, as well as yourself. So it's what is expressing. And that if it's what is unfolding at what is his own rate, doing whatever the hell what is expressing, then we can't even talk about the speed at which anybody or anything is progressing through its ignorance, okay? There's no self-will involved in this process. It's what is unfolding exactly as it's going to unfold. So let's play with that all week and see what we see. What I'm interested in is what we see. Questions about that? Yeah.
You said our soul's included, so...
Yeah, I've always been doing the best I could. That was my first realization.
I get that. And I said this a while ago, but I got in jail a few times for, hitting people. And I know if I hit this person, I'm going to jail, and I do it anyhow. So it's not really the knowing. I mean, if I really knew, so is there like a level of knowledge, or is there is that thought, I didn't really know it, because had I really known it, I wouldn't have done it?
You apparently thought that the payout for hitting him was higher than the cost of going to jail. or you wouldn't have done it. You had to stop it.
Right, so,
You hit the guy.
so I can't.
The price you were paying for not stopping the situation by hitting it was much higher than the imagined price that you might have to pay by going to jail.
You really don't even care at that point, but now, so,
In the moment, that was the prudent thing for you to do because you couldn't stand the pain that was being caused by the script situation.
right.
That's all. So that's good. Punched him out. That stopped it. Got you out of the pain. Perfectly reasonable response for a lot of people. That's one particular level of unfolding or lack of.
Yeah, I do have a question. My personal thought or feeling was that we weren't born ignorant. That ignorance happens like, you have a baby and you see the baby and they seem happy, joyous, and free and bliss in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, over time, human consciousness and whatnot. Is that not right?
Well, I mean, you got a baby body there, but you have no idea how old the soul is that's in that body at this time. And we're talking about the development of the soul over thousands of lifetimes. We're talking about this consciousness, this individual. I mean, the baby doesn't exist. The baby is your concept of this particular thing. But what we have is an individual expression of consciousness, okay, on its pilgrimage from total ignorance to total enlightenment, okay? And it's in that body now, and the body is maybe one or two, but the soul, we know old souls and young souls, you've heard of that, and you see people that are old souls and people that are young souls, you have no idea who's come into that body.
It's like that in Alfred Brooks movie.
When they first take on the body, the rational mechanism isn't working yet. So babies don't have concepts at all when they come in, but that's just a matter of cranking up the mechanism. That's got nothing to do with what they brought with them in the data bank, in the karmic data bank, which is what they brought in. And they're at a particular point, and they have and what you master in this lifetime you take with you, okay? So, and it's all progress, and your baby is at a particular point, and it has a particular level of ignorance. If that level is compatible with you in your life, if that's where it's supposed to come in. So it's where that baby can begin learning its next set of lessons. So, it's an endless spiritual gymnasium.
Yeah, I really see that my kids are really lessons. I mean, when you say that it's not surprising that your baby picked you as your parents to come in, because we're all on kind of a path that I can see it.
Yeah, your kid came in here because it's got lessons that can be learned by being a white male or female in a middle upper class enlightened Southern California situation, with their particular level of society and such like. This is the situation in which it can learn lessons. It might have done the pauper in India lesson last time, and it don't need to do that this time. So, we're coming in where we need to learn our next set of lessons. And we're picking the parents. We're not. We are coming in to parents who are appropriate for us to learn our next set of lessons.
And the kids may be helping the parents.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Some kids come in
both ways.
Yeah, some kids come in specifically to.
I know I did.
I do know of one case where a kid came in and was talking to a lady while it was still in the womb, because she's pretty psychic, talking to this kid who was not yet, befuddled by being born and all that. And she was saying, "What did you come in for these parents? Why did you come in for these parents? They're not nearly ready for you." And he said, "I didn't come in for them. I came in for her mother." So he knew that. Wow. He knew that the parents he was coming into were a mess, and because they were such a complete mess, they would be incapable of taking care of him, and they would dissolve, and he would be dumped on the grandmother, and that was where his work was, and that's what he came in for. So some people come in at that level. And other people like Joel, Joel came in this time, it was the third time that Joel came in trying to deliver this message to the human consciousness, He just didn't have the the necessary tools. Much easier to deliver a message of that magnitude to all of human consciousness if you've got jet airplanes and paperwork. Yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah.
And with this, isn't that why you say when everybody's like here doing the best they can and for their spiritual growth, why at times you've told me when I want to fix somebody or make it different that I'm actually, you say something like, why would you get in the way of their spiritual growth?
Sure, that's the point. Yeah, I mean, that's why we wanted to do, I don't know how this should look first. I mean, the fact is that you know, if I'm presented with a lesson to master, now I will have to master that lesson. And that means to bless it and forgive it and get it and be done with it, okay? To respond to this particular lesson from a higher level with love, okay? And if I don't master it, then I get to master it tomorrow or next week or next year, and I'm still, and I didn't grow spiritually. And if you're over there helping me avoid learning that lesson, all you're doing is delaying my spiritual growth.
Is that Dharma? Dharma? Dharma
Is another word. Well, Dharma is another word for truth, is another word for Tao. It just depends on what religion you're in. It's my Dharma, it's my truth, it's my path, it's the Tao.
Isn't everyone just doing what they're doing? Because the best that they can sounds as if there's some continuum of doing.
Yeah, but we're in that context. Sure, everybody's just doing what they're doing, and there's no question that's true.
Especially if I don't know how everything's supposed to do, or be.
Sure. Yeah,
I don't know what you're supposed to do.
I grant you everybody doing the best they can has a flavor of judgment on it.
Yeah.
But that's the reason for phrasing it that way is because we're dealing with, you know, it's to be applied to people about whom we have judgment. We're not doing that they're doing shitty or doing bad or doing, you know, I mean, we have judgments about it, so let's go to doing the best they can. The fact, a much better choice is everybody's doing the only thing they can.
Yeah. The guy from Nike's line, just do it.
Just do it, a more accurate truth is everybody's doing the only thing they can.
Wow.
They have the sense that it's serving, okay? And what's really going on is people who think they're people are doing what they think is going to make them happy. I mean, I robbed the bank so that I'd be happy. I killed her so I could be happy. I did this, you know. I mean, what we're really all trying to do individually is we're doing what we need to be happy. Punched him out to shut him up so I could be happy because we're driving me crazy, right? So the sense is that I'm doing the best I can to be happy, okay? And that certainly there's an implication that there's choice in there. I'm not about to jump into free will at this point. But there is an implication of choice in there. And the statement everybody's doing the only thing they can eliminates that, and I don't want to address free will at this point. But you can't address free will. You can do it very quickly. You can do it very quickly, can't you? We will now deal with the entire lesson on free will. Are you ready?
And I'm ready.
Who has it? When you answer who has the free will, then we can talk further. Where are we? I think we're we're going home. All right. So everybody's doing the best. Everybody's always doing the best they can, including me. What did you say? I said, fuck you. Yeah. I think I heard it. Sorry, I didn't get that on the face. Okay, yeah, we don't joke a lot with hope, remember? Yeah. Yeah, this eliminates guilt and shame and all those things. This is another backup on that guilt and shame lesson. Okay, thanks for coming. Let's go. Next week, we start the book study again.